If you, as a citizen, care about your privacy and the maintenance of human rights, it is crucial that you understand Palantir. Throughout the last decade, this omnipotent data analytics software company has only become more and more pervasive in our daily lives, and, like it or not, it's only going to get worse. This, along with its backing of major organizations such as ICE and the Israeli government, has set Palantir as among one of the most controversial companies in the world today. However, a lot of people, despite knowing the name, do not actually comprehend what Palantir does. And today, this is an issue I want to help tackle. My name is Kai, and today I learned about Palantir, the technocracy's watchful eye. Founded in 2003 by German-American PayPal billionaire Peter Thiel and his former classmate and current CEO Alex Karp, the idea spawned shortly after 9/11. Thiel, who is still active at PayPal during this time, came to the conclusion that the software that he used for fraud detection in PayPal could be used to track terrorists instead. The name Palantir is a reference to J.R.R. Tolkien's novel, The Lord of the Rings, in which the Palantir is a crystal ball that allows the user to omnipotently see into the present, future, and past like some form of god. Pretty bad, right? Well, that's not the only bad part, as after initial funding by Thiel, the first outside investment into the company came at the hands of the CIA's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel. Side note, can you even imagine a more evil entity than a venture capital firm funded by the CIA? Like, you can't even make that up, man. However, today, Palantir is one of the most deeply ingrained companies in our world. This integration today comes from its two major data analysis softwares, Foundry and the scarier one, Gotham. Foundry is the business arm of Palantir and is generally less talked about in the media today. While it isn't innocent, it is much less problematic than Gotham and primarily serves as a tool for massive corporations to unify datasets. Examples of Foundry being used today would be businesses in which major datasets are required. This includes, but is not limited to, things like hospital management, F1 car data analysis, and jet design. Gotham, on the other hand, was the original arm of Palantir and is concerned with tracking, locating, and organizing data. If a person suspected of a crime has their phone tapped, emails traced, and passports scanned, Gotham allows government agencies to have all these individual pieces of information tracked and organized simultaneously, building an entire picture of you as a human being. We may think, well, Gotham is only an issue for criminals, and boy, are you optimistic. However, this facade is quickly dissolved upon any form of research, as you need to remember who Palantir is involved with. Palantir is heavily involved with law enforcement, with police cams and, notably, ALPR cameras being used to track license plates. However, this is not all, as it also picks your common routes, daily activities, and pretty much you as a person, like some form of god watching you from above. Oftentimes, Palantir knows your next move before you've even made it. Truly horrifying. Additionally, as if it wasn't bad enough, Palantir is used both by ICE to track potential signs of somebody being in the nation illegally, as well as by Israel in Gaza. It should be noted that their CEO, Alex Karp, is a proud supporter of both of these causes, being quoted directly as to saying, "Our company is used, on occasion, to kill people." This, along with Thiel's technocratic worldview that strictly opposes democracy as a form of governance, truly is the cherry on top of the world's most intrusive, vile cake. Now, I could go so much deeper into Palantir as this is one of the deepest rabbit holes in business history, but seeing as this is TikTok, I don't necessarily have the time to go into it all. Instead, I will leave this to you to educate yourself on Palantir, as it's one of the most civically responsible things you can do as a person today. My name is Kai Hewlett, and this is what I learned about today. Thank you for watching, and all the recent support, by the way. One day I will soon have a YouTube channel for you to watch longer form videos, but until then, take care and have a nice one.
Alright, shalom, 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 shalom. I want to start off this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and the highest honor unto Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors unto my elders and my apostles of great millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us as truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect as always. And the lesson will be titled More and More Unrighteous Decrees, which I just wanted to really go into a few slides that I have saved from TikTok and a video that I have saved from TikTok, which I'm actually going to just do the video post-production. I'm not going to show it in the actual lesson, like while I read the precepts. I'm just going to put it in the very beginning because it's a little lengthy. It's like, I think it's 3 minutes long. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to read some slides. It's about 12 of them. And it's titled More and More Unrighteous Decrees because now is the time where Esau's NWO is going to go into full effect very soon. He got the AI infrastructures being built. We've been talking about it for a minute now, the flock cameras being up, which that's a big deal. If you don't know, you know. And I remember a few years ago, my one of my Edomite coworkers was telling me, because I had told him about it, and I was like, oh, man, they just put up these speed cameras. He was like, oh, no, those aren't speed cameras, bro. Those are cameras that are gonna go into your social credit score system. And I was like, social credit score? I was, playing the serpent, and he was just yapping on about it, and I was like, oh shit, that's wild. So some people already know about this, and that was about almost 5 years ago. Not about 3-4 years ago now. But anyway, more and more unrighteous decrees, man. Esau's NWO, they're pushing, because everything that they're doing it by law, and I'm gonna read this first. Psalms 94:20. I'm going to read it in the KJV first. This first one's the KJV, and then I'm going to read it again in the NLT. It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Which the throne of iniquity, we can apply that to who? Esau, Edom. His rulership is nothing but iniquity. He's wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Job 9:24, right? It says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? Right. Which is exactly what they do, man. They pretty much, all their laws is nothing but wickedness. All right, so let's read it in the NLT, because everything that they do, they don't do it to support Israelites, the true Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Everything they do is to further oppress us and just the people in general, but most importantly us. Right? This is in the NLT. It says, can unjust leaders claim that God is on their side? Right? They can't claim that the Most High is on their side, even though they take the word and proclaim that it's the law of the land, and this is a Christian nation, right? They're believers in the Bible, but everything they do on earth is against the Bible, even down to the banking system. The way that they lend and things like that is actually wicked. It's against the scriptures. The way that they exact usury is actually very wicked, because they do it to put people in basically, financial debt slavery. They don't actually do it to help anybody or to just make a little quick profit, or, it's to endebt you and for them to get richer, and then they bail themselves out when people can't pay them, and it just messes up the economy. That's going into, a whole other thing, because, what I really want to talk about is, the way that they're doing everything is like the saying goes, man, you will own nothing and be happy, So what they really want to do is put everybody else that's not part of the elite class in full servitude and hip everybody, essentially, literally, actually. So it says, leaders whose decrees permit injustice, right? So everything that this devil is doing is actually injustice, okay? It's injustice, man, meaning there is no righteousness within it. Because justice and righteousness go hand in hand. So injustice means without righteousness. Okay? And I don't even have a lot of precepts. So let's start getting into the slides. This is the first slide. I have about 12 of them. So this is the first one we're going to read. And so it says, this lady, Dr. Sarah Carnes, she was basically retweeting Glenn Medder's tweets on X, and it says, the first one, it says, you will own nothing and be happy. This is not a warning. This is not a prediction. I'm going to read them quick. If you want to pause it, read it yourself, you can. It says, this is a promise from people who are building the system to make it real. Who is the one that said you will own nothing and be happy? Was it George Soros? Or might have been yeah, it was at the World Economic Forum. I don't know why I thought it was George Soros. Ida Unkin. No, I don't think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, highly controversial slogan that originated from a 2016 essay written by Danish politician Ida Unkin. I thought it was somebody else that said this. Yeah, it says World Economic Forum. Yeah, predicted by 2030. Wow. By 2030. Yep. By 2030, we will own nothing and be happy about it. Right. And that's exactly what these slides are basically going to go into, because basically that's what they want to do. That's why, your hourly rate is not what it used to be. I remember when I was in high school and 15 an hour was good money back then. Which that was about 15 years ago, funny enough, because, I was, 15, sophomore in high school, I think, around that age, and now I'm 30 now, so 15 years ago, that was good money back then, Now 15 an hour, you're broke, man. That's nothing. Shit, that's nothing, especially after taxes, you know. So when you look at your hourly rate, right, it's like it doesn't matter how high, you know. And I know, you know, it's different for some brothers. It's different for brothers everywhere, because, you know, when you live in a highly populated city, when you live in a major city, I know that, you know, you might get paid more, but it doesn't feel like you do, because it's so expensive to live where you live at. I know for me, I live in a part of, you know, the DMV area where it's very expensive, and I make good money, and shit, it doesn't feel like I do. You know, what I make in a more remote area would be a lot nicer, but shit, where I live at, it's like, damn, you know, it don't stretch the same as, you know, places where rent is, you know, $1,500, $1,600, $1,200, you know. Shit, I know where I live at, 1-bedrooms are going for $2,100. That's insane, right? So basically, Esau is building an infrastructure to where he's surveilling you 24/7, right? He's attached to your vehicle, to your face. Forget the license plate, the vehicle with the VIN. That's what they're attaching to your face, right? From that to your rent being so high and your bills is going to get to a point where he's going to say, all right, I'm going to fix the problem by doing this, right? So let's keep reading. It says, in the digital control grid is how they plan to deliver it, which is true, which is all goes back to the MOT to the B, you know? It says, without ownership, you have no control. Without ownership, even with ownership, even if you own your house, you don't have control. See, people were fed this idea that in America, you're free. You're not free. No one's free in America, especially the Israelites. You know, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, we're the most, we're the most oppressed ones in this society. We've been broke. You know? We've been jacked up. Okay? It says, without ownership, you are a slave. We're slaves regardless. You're slaves even if you own a fraction of what you have. You know? You still got to wake up and pay taxes. You pay income tax. Where I live at, we have the highest income tax in the country. We're paying them to go to work. That is slavery. You know? Number 3. Did I already read? This is 1. I think I might have saved these out of order, Salakia. Yeah, I think I did. It doesn't matter. They don't need to be in order. Slide number 3 says, the shift has already begun. You do not own your software. You license it. You do not own your music. You stream it. You do not own your movies. You subscribe to them. You do not own your books. You access them through an app. You already accepted this. You thought it was convenience, right? Which is very true. See, Esau always sells you, you know, this thing of convenience and safety at the cost of your privacy, at the cost of your ownership, at the cost of your freedom. You see, at the cost of your freedom, that's what you paid for your safety. You paid for it with your freedom, which in reality, he never did these things to give you safety. He did these things for control. This guy is the devil. He wants to create a pseudo heaven for himself where everybody's just under him forever. This guy is literally an evil villain. You know how in the movies, in any movie, you know, no matter what movie it is, what does the evil villain want to do? He doesn't want to kill everybody. He wants to take over the world and enslave everybody and have them live in some type of dystopian society. That's what Esau Edom is doing. We're already in a dystopian society. We live in a society right now where people are on the brink of just losing their shit. You know, the majority of people that I work with, grown men, they're all living check to check. That's the complete. You don't really hear men at work. At least where I work at, most men are, you know, and some of these dudes get paid pretty good, and most men, they're not happy with their income. They're not happy. They're like, man, I only got 2 kids, and I'm struggling, and even my wife working, we struggling. If one of us miserable, I'm like, damn, bro, this shit is not it living in America. You know, everything is disgusting, man. The shit, man. Hey, slide 4, it says, they're coming for your home next, not through force, but it says not through force, through economics, through policy. Ooh, I like that. I like that word that they use. It says through policy, which what? Let's get this in Isaiah 10. All right? Because you know, the scriptures say it through their policy, you know, they do these wicked things, right? Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Right. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And what will ye do in the day of visitation, and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will ye flee for help, and where will ye leave your glory? So let's read that again in the NLT. It says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. Right. Hey, with the type of taxes you pay is that's an unfair law. That's an unrighteous decree. You know? And what does the scripture say? Through his policy. That's what I was trying to think about. Let's see if it will come up. Yeah, but this was talking about back then, but we can apply it to today. You know, it says Daniel's 8:25. This was like I said though, this was talking about back then for context, but we can apply this to Esau Edom today. You know, it's the same. It was the same Edomites that was spoken about back then that we're talking about now. Daniel's 8:25. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. I was thinking about this precept earlier. But he shall be broken without hand. Right? You know? And what, man? That's exactly what is going to happen in these times. He's going to be broken without hand. He shall stand up against the prince of princes. Right? Esau Edom is going to fall when he goes against Yahushua. You know? Let me see. Just making sure. Okay, yeah. Yeah, up above it was talking about, it had the context. But nonetheless, it says, that he shall be broken without hand. But it says what? Through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper. So his wicked craft is being caused to prosper by his own policies, by his own decrees, his own rules. You know? That's what this man does. Okay? Through his he creates oppression through his laws. He doesn't just rule with the iron fist. Well, he does rule with the iron fist, but he does it so craftily, so subtly, that it's like, damn, this man just passed certain laws. Like, I don't even think this is they're gonna get into it. No, they're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna get into it. Basically, the laws during the Biden administration, I spoke about this already at camp. The laws were passed during the law was passed during the Biden administration, where your vehicle, everything after 2026 is gonna have the technology that uses AI for facial recognition to see if you're able to actually drive. If you look tired, it's gonna pull you over and turn off your car. You see, if they feel like you're impaired through that AI, because AI is so flawed. If they feel like, you know, you're unable to drive because you're impaired, it's gonna pull over for you. You're not gonna choose to pull over. It's not gonna tell you. It's going to do it. You see the technology that's gonna be in your vehicle. You know, these are the type of dystopian things that we're about to be dealing with. It already happened. There was this guy on TikTok. He was showing like, yo, my BMW, 2026 or I think 2027, it literally pulled me over. It literally told me it believes that I was tired because of the way I was slouching in my seat. So it pulled me over and said that I cannot drive my car until tomorrow. That's insane. That's the type of policies, that's the type of unrighteous decrees that this man is doing. It says they're coming through your for your home, not through force, through economics, through policy. Corporate investors are buying up entire neighborhoods. Rents are rising faster than wages, right? Because these corporations are buying lands that your house is built on, and then they're raising the taxes on it, or they're raising the prices on everything, and now you have to pay more. Your mortgage goes up. You know, your rent goes up, right? It says home ownership is being priced out of reach for an entire generation, right? I know where I live at, the median for a townhouse here is in the millions. You know, the city I live at is literally, the townhomes are in the millions. There is not a home in the city that I live in where I believe the cheapest home you can get here is $800,000. And it's a rinky-dink 1965 ass townhome that needs to be gutted. This is the world that we live in. You know, that's unrighteous. That's wicked. That's a false balance. Why are townhomes $1 million? Built in 1945. Ass house, man. Plumbing all messed up. House stink. Got black mold probably. Your neighbors are Edomites that call the cops on you every 30 seconds. You know what I mean? So it says, and when you cannot afford to buy, you rent. When you rent, you do not own. When you do not own, the landlord, corporate, or government controls where you live, and control over where you live is control over your life. They are coming for your car, subscription features rolled out, heated seats, you pay monthly to unlock, performance modes, locked behind a paywall, navigation that requires, right, more stuff about, the vehicles, they're coming for your money. And here's the big one. Central bank digital currencies are being piloted right now, not as an alternative to cash, as a replacement, right? Donald Trump just passed that law. Damn, what did he do? Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly the law that he passed. But he passed a law to not allow. I forgot it was very specific wording. I don't want to say it because I'm gonna misquote it. But basically, certain laws are being passed now to where basically it gives the government control over certain cryptocurrencies, and what banks are gonna do what. You know what I'm saying? So it says cash is ownership. You hold it, you control it. No one can freeze it, monitor it, or take it without physically taking it from you. Right, which is very true. See, that's the thing. They don't want you to have physical money because that puts power in your hand. If it's a virtual, and the company that owns the app, that owns the bank where your virtual money is, if they want to freeze it, they can freeze it. They can't do it if you have physical cash. So this is why, CBDC is not ownership. It is permission to spend, permission to save, permission that can be revoked instantly if your social credit score drops, if your digital ID is flagged. Yeah, what are they going to do? They're going to turn off your CHIP. For those that are going to get CHIP, Lord's will, we're not a part of them, right? But that's what's going to happen, They're going to say, all right, close his bank account, freeze his assets, and turn off his chip. That's what they're going to be doing to people very soon. It says, if your digital ID is flagged, if an algorithm decides you are a risk, right? See, your social, China is the model, they said. That's what they want in America. They're going to look at what you Google search, Shit, man. You like one too many videos of war in the Middle East, now you're on a watch list. You know what I'm saying? You will not own your money, you will have access to money until you do not. The digital control grid has a purpose. It is not being built to make your life easier. It is not being built to keep you safe. It is not being built to protect the children or stop the terrorists or save the environment. It is being built to implement a new way of life. A life where you own nothing. A life where everything you need is controlled by people who can take it away the moment you disobey. Right. That's the thing. None of this stuff was ever built for your convenience. It was built to control you. And you Israelites got to get your head out of that, man. Your head's always up Esau's ass. That's why the scriptures say, woe unto them that go down to Egypt for help, that trust in Pharaoh because of chariots, because they are strong. But you're going to be really ashamed when the Lord brings Esau down. That's the thing, man. We can't overlook the fact that this devil is trying to control everything. That's why we preach so much. These comforts, don't get so used to these comforts. And it's lovely, man. I love turning on my car and having Apple CarPlay, and you know what I mean? I love doing those things, but not that much. Hey, sometimes, I'll turn that shit off. I'll just turn the screen off, act like I'm driving back when I was younger. I don't know. I never had CarPlay in my car until I was 25. Until I was way older than because I started driving at, when I was 15, 16. I never had anything of the year, at that time. I always drove cars from the early 2000s or the 90s. So I never had stuff like CarPlay. I always had the little cassette with the aux. If brothers know what I'm talking about, the cassette that you put in, but it actually is not Bluetooth, but it connects to your phone. I come from the aux cable era, So I'm used to not having screens in my vehicle. But once I finally had that, I was like, oh, this is awesome. But those are certain comforts that we just don't want to get used to. Because one day it's going to be gone. One day you won't be able to drive your car anymore. It says they want to own everything: your home, your transportation, your money, your data, your identity, your ability to communicate, your ability to travel, your ability to participate in the economy. They want it all flowing through systems they control. Systems where access is granted or denied based on compliance. Right? Because what do they want you to do? Bow to the image of the beast. This is all a part of their image. And I meant to say that at the beginning, Salakia, everything that you see being built, the infrastructure, the data centers, this is all a part of the beast system. This is all a part of their image. This is what they want you to worship, them. Esau doesn't want you to worship a picture of the white man. He wants you to worship his ways and to basically be his woman. The same way how we're the Lord's woman. That's why taking the C-hip is such a wicked thing, because you're essentially bowing down 100%. Because right now we're partaking to some degree in the beast system. Brothers are really helping construct it, right? But you have to really be spiritual to understand that. Like in the time when Daniel, they were still serving the Babylonians. They were a part of their system, but what? Their hearts, the righteous ones, Daniel, his heart was not in serving them. His heart was serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. The three holy children, their hearts were what? Serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, but they still had to be in it. They still had to be in the captivity and build it for them. You see? Brothers, we work in these areas. We work in these things. We work in banks. We work in IT. We do these things, but what? We're not worshiping this. So it says, let me read some scriptures. I've been reading a lot of slides. It says in the NLT, Isaiah 10:1, it says, "What sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws," right? Because this is all being done by law. It says, "They deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people." Right. Right now, there's states where, so there's different types of data centers. There's some data centers that use, so basically, to keep them cool, there's some that actually use specific chemicals like refrigerants to keep the data center cool, which does not pollute fresh water. But that's a more expensive way of them doing it. This is what this Edomite told me at work. There's states right now that are polluting the water, specifically, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the company name. But there's specific data center companies that make data centers that it's cheaper to use fresh water from some body of water and pollute it to keep the data center cool than to use the actual refrigerants, which are more expensive because you're buying a chemical instead of using free water, right? So that is killing people. That is polluting their water. That's going on in Memphis right now. They're building that big data center in Memphis, or they've already built it, and it's polluting the water and giving people cancer. And it's in a Jake neighborhood. These are the things that's going on in the world right now, man. It says, "They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. What will you do when I punish you? When I send disaster upon you from a distant land, to whom will you turn for help? Where will your treasures be safe?" Right. That's the thing. Esau, you're through. You're not going to succeed, because he's building these things to fully enact his NWO and C-hip everybody and have the infrastructure to hold that information that he's going to need to hold. But guess what? You're going to be broken. All right? The Lord ain't even going to lift up a finger, and you're going to be destroyed. It says, "They want to control everything, every transaction monitored, every movement tracked, every word logged, every behavior scored. Not by human beings making individual decisions, by algorithms executing policies in real time across millions of people simultaneously. No appeals, no exceptions, no human discretion. Just a system that punishes non-compliance automatically and instantly." Virginia just passed a law, which death to those politicians. May the Lord destroy these wicked ass niggas. Pardon my language. Where basically they're using the flock cameras that we never asked to be installed anyway, right? If you run, now I ain't saying you're supposed to be doing these things. I'm not saying you should blow stop signs. But however, this is a violation, all right, of your rights, quote unquote, in America, right? According to Esau's law. Basically, these flock cameras are now going to be used. I believe they're going to fine you. And eventually, if you're traveling at certain speeds, they're gonna put a device in your vehicle that's like even worse than a governor to basically, give you tickets, and they're gonna put a device in your vehicle that's gonna monitor your speed, and if you're speeding over the limit all the time, you're gonna get fined. Eventually, you're gonna go to jail. They're using the AI to basically people that run red lights and that speed. You're gonna get tickets. You're gonna get automated tickets. So basically, no one has to catch you down. Because to Esau, because guess what? For those that don't know, technically, according to Esau's law now, speed cameras and any type of camera is actually unconstitutional. Reason why is because you cannot face your accuser. And in Esau's law, you have to be able to face your accuser. That's not an accuser. That's just a piece of equipment that took a picture of your plate. That's unconstitutional according to Esau's laws, but he still does this shit. This guy's the devil. So I'm going to read two more. It says they want to rule over you, not as elected representatives, because I need to get some scriptures. Not as elected representatives accountable to voters, as administrators managing a system that cannot be voted out. Right? They don't want you to vote. They don't want you to have even the illusion that you're in control anymore. They don't give a shit. They literally are telling you will own nothing and be happy. In a world where it was more people with a lot better logic, they would have, these people would have took over and just killed all these damn politicians doing this shit. But really, it's not happening because this is the Lord's movie, and the Lord wants the people to behave like this. He wants Esau to get to a certain level so that he can take him down and he can show you that he is the Most High. It says they despise freedom, they hate the Constitution, they see your God-given rights as obstacles to a more efficient system, which is very true. That's why these elites, these Amalekites, the so-called JOOs, they call you goyim. They call you cattle. They call you heathen. That's how they feel about you. They look at you as useless eaters. It says a system where people do what they are told because refusal means losing access to everything. Tyrants throughout history have always wanted total surveillance and absolute control. No, not tyrants, you damn Edomites, you crackers, man. I don't even like using that word because there's nothing edifying coming out of that. It's just it's just a Jake term, but you damn Edomites, man. You so-called white people ain't tyrants throughout history. No, it's you Edomites. When Jake ruled, we wasn't worried about what you was doing in your quarters, man. You know what I'm saying? We worried about, getting some, drinking, eating, getting some box, getting some sex. Only Esau gets the power of the fatness of the earth. He could have any woman he wants, drink any wine, any liquor he wants, eat whatever he wants. This man wants to just kill you and surveil you. This man is the devil. It says, but they were limited by technology. They could not watch everyone. They could not control everything. They could not automate punishment. Now, for the first time in history, they can. The technology exists, which is what? The part of the image, man. Part of their image is their technology. What's that last one they want to do? They want to see-hip everybody. Read Revelations 13:16, man. It says the partnership between governments and corporations are already signed. Digital ID to verify identity, CBDC to control money, social credit to score behavior, AI to monitor compliance, right? Because what they're using to monitor the compliance is all facial recognition AI systems, the flock cameras. Them flock cameras are going to be used for everything, from you speeding to you jaywalking. If you walk around the street with your ding-a-ling out, that's going to your social credit score system. If you're walking down the street with an anti-Trump shirt, well, now that went to your social credit score system. You walking down the street looking at anti-Israel propaganda on your phone, boom. Now you can't get to your bank account. You might not have even been agreeing with the video. You just saw it on your phone. They was like, oh, there we go. Or a van pulls up to get you, like, and they clone Tyrone. One of the clones starts bugging out. They pull up, grab it, kill it, send the next one. Literally. They're going to literally capture people and just kill them. Every piece connects, every piece advances, and the endpoint is a world where you own nothing, control nothing, and depend entirely on a system that can take everything away with a keystroke. Last one, this is not inevitable, but it is close. The vision is clear, the infrastructure is being deployed, the policies are being passed. The only thing standing in the way is people who remember what ownership means, which there's no fighting this shit. There ain't nothing you guys can do about it. Your best bet is really to just wait on Israel to take over. wait on us to be delivered so that Yahweh Shai can destroy this devil. But for the believers out there, man, hey, we got Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai on our side, man, because this is a lot. It's scary. I know when my woman and certain female family members know about this, they learn about this, they vent to me about it, and they're like, man, I'm kind of scared. And I'm like, look, they just, for those that believe, hey, trust in the Lord, man. Because yes, it's scary. Yes, they're going to watch us. Some of us are going to, end up getting locked up. Some of us are going to just be on the run the whole time because, hey, man, these things are serious. Hey, look, when they really allow certain things to pass and our YouTube's channels are not gone, the ones that, most of us are probably going to lose our channels, but, once they implement certain things, man, we're going to have to be off grid. We're going to have to be on the run because the content that we post to edify the elect is an act of treason to Esau, because to him we're non-compliant to his new world order, so we're gonna be lumped in with the anti-tech extremists, with the errorists. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be lumped in with them. But what? We got Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We don't gotta worry. Isaiah 33:6. And wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Stability, man, that word, amawanah, the root word being amawan, which means faith. So wisdom and knowledge is going to keep us stable. It's going to keep us stable in that time. And our fear of the Lord is our treasure, man. The fear in the Lord, what? That wisdom. It's our treasure. All right? We're going to be able to profit off of what we're doing now. Because what? What did you do this whole time? You built up your faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. That's your stability. 2nd Ezra 16:74. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand. Because once Esau implements this whole thing, it's not going to be a normal society. You're not going to wake up and go to work anymore at that time. You're not going to be able to. He's going to lock it down. Certain things are just going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Esau sets up some other thing like the CVID, and then that's when everything goes live. And now when you go to work, your car's turning off because you ain't get enough sleep. It thinks you're drunk. It thinks you're high. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that we're going to be dealing with very soon. There's already people dealing with it now. Soon it's going to be on a higher level. Hear, ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. Right. Don't be afraid and don't doubt. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is your guide. And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Right? So Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is going to be our guide in that time. Because once that system goes live, once all that stuff, really is in full-fledged mode, man, and it's really on and popping, hey, only the Lord is going to be able to deliver us at that time, man. There's nothing you can do. What are you going to do against AI? When they're looking for you, all they got to do is check the location on the flock camera. However they're going to do it. Only Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai can block those things to protect you. There's already people now that are creating certain glasses so that these flock cameras can't recognize your face. These people are going to be brought up on charges soon. There was a man in Florida who created a way for flock cameras to not track your license plate. And it's not like he covered it, like, for my brothers that know, not to say y'all should be, I ain't saying brothers should be doing this or nothing like that. But for my brothers, that, in the world, they was kind of on that type of timing with the vehicles. There were certain things you could buy to block your license plate, that would reflect back to the light, to the cameras. Well, this man didn't use anything to block it. He just used a series of dots that would trick the flock camera into basically not being able to read your plate. That man was brought up on charges. All he did was create a series of dots that throw off the AI. And he was brought up on charges in Florida for that. I believe it was Florida, if I'm not mistaken. These are the things that we're dealing with. This is not something you can just escape. You're already in the system. If you have a social security number, you're already in their database. You're not unknown to Esau, especially if you're in the truth teaching. You're not unknown to Esau. I was watching the Elder Joshua Wamba's video on the way home from work today, where he was talking about vocab melon, right? And this dude Vocab Malone had a video of the Elder Yashawamba and the camp that from 20 years ago, before they even were GMS Dallas, a video that he didn't even have. These guys are watching us, man. They've been watching us. They know us. They have tabs on us. They know where we work. They know when they probably know what job we're going to get next before we do. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we need Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. That's it. It says, in the guide of them, 2 Ezra 16 and 75, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord. Right, because the Lord is the one that's going to guide us out of this. You know, the Lord is literally, I always say this, man, to those in my household, man. Hey, look, for all we know, one day, because I got family members, I got loved ones, immediate family, that be like, well, what are we gonna do when this happens? How are we gonna escape? And I'm like, hey, bro, hope for good, everlasting joy and mercy, hope for good. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good. Sirach 2. And I always say, bro, we're gonna be living in times where you might be sleeping in the middle of the night, an angel wakes you up, hey, do this, and then disappears, and you just gotta trust it. That's it. You just gotta trust it. All right. It says, be ye not afraid, neither doubt. The Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord. Power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So don't let those, don't let your sins weigh you down, and try to stay on the right path. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to get us out of this situation, because this is one hell of a situation, man. But that's all I wanted to bring out real quick, man. I hope this was edifying and exhorting as well. I kind of went on, a little longer than expected, but nonetheless, I really hope this was edifying and exhorting. I want to give all praise to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem Ruach HaKodash. Double honors unto my elders and apostles of Great Millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us his truth. Peace, blessings, and citations to the elected. Always, man, shalom.